Back for some more to continue with our kit bashing and model kit design series. So we got the column with the base and the capital. Again, these are pretty good size, so make them whatever radius you think you need for your project. You see here's the same one here, up arrow to get the group. You can see it's the exact same height, but much thinner, about half the size, most likely. Yeah, and I got my grid up a little bit higher too, so you got to just kind of do whatever works for the architecture. These general sizes should work though. The height, if you're staying within the floor, like one level or one floor, and then a higher floor, higher ceiling floor, that 300 and 400 height, uh, centimeter height should be pretty solid for you to get that working. So the next pieces on there to hit on are the after the is the dome. So the dome again was off. It wasn't on the first asset list. It got dropped off by accident, I'm assuming. So I had to add it back on my other core list. This is your core anatomy, grammar, or anatomy of architecture. You got to have these pieces here in order to um, build most structures. So let's go ahead and build that out. So grab the rest of these guys here. Again, click and then arrow up to grab by the group center. And so if I grab at least one piece of each, whoops, of each of these right here, and then if I up arrow, that grabs the groups, and then I can move them. Now, be careful when you're grouping things. If I grab a set of groups that all have the pieces inside of them, right? So I'm moving the parent, which has the pieces. I don't have to have the pieces inside selected, only the parent group. But if I want to group all these together, this is a colonnade, right? So that's on our core list here. A group of columns with the base, shaft, and capital, and a group of them is called a colonnade. A group of arches is an arcade, right? So we basically just made all those pieces right there. If I want to grab all these and I up arrow and I want to group them here, if I hit Control G, what happens is it does make a new group of everything, but well, maybe it didn't that time. As I say, usually it ungroups everything. That's if you were to do that again. That's if I were to actually grab all the pieces in the group. So if I grab everything in there like that, and so you see I have the sub pieces also selected like that. Not just the top parent of the group, but all the pieces inside of it are also selected. Now if I hit Control G and group, it will destroy all the subgroupings inside. So just be aware, you want to have just the group selected. Just go grab any one piece inside the group, arrow up. It'll grab just the top level parent of each group for each of the columns for the colonnade. Whoops. Do that again. Arrow up. Control G, group, and I'll name this colonnade underscore GRP underscore 01. Enter. And then just to double check, if I want to open all of it in one shot, hold down Shift, click one time. That'll open everything. You see all the subgroups are still intact. So incredibly useful. If I go to the bottom level of your group here, and the arrow up one time, that goes to the group above it. Arrow up again, it goes to the group above it. So arrowing up and down is your quick and easy way to go up and down and select all your groups. And let's see if when I did that grouping, I probably want that pivot to be, whoa, wrong button, there we go, D. Let me and make sure I have the snap turned on. So the pivot should be snapped on right here. There we go. And so now I can move that entire thing. You see, if I go to the channel layer, you see my move 0001. So if I move that back to 0 in world space, you see I have that there. Now I need to freeze that, and that'll get rid of, it'll zero everything out. But if I go in there and delete the history, that's okay too. So now I have a little colonnade that I built. And then down here we got the arch. So let's call this arch. Underscore, and this one I'll do this as an open arch underscore. You could also alpha numeric, so you could add a B, C, D, and then 0, 1. And then this one right here would be a just a arch underscore. If you want to name it closed arch. A underscore 01. And I have so many in here now. I'm just using the A's and B's just in case when I was doing this really quickly. I did the other one. Here's the other one over there. So these are still called P cylinders. So I'll just grab those and delete them. Here's a double size one. You can also go from your naming conventions. So if you need to, kind of reduce the grid here just for a minute to make it a little easier on the eyes from the front viewport. So if you need to mark it as a 2-to-1 ratio, so we could do this arch open, and then 2 wide, 1 high, 2 times 1. The depth on that was, let's see, how did we do on that one? Let's see, we go back to 10 again, hit apply. So yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could do a 2 by 1 by dot 6. It won't take points in the naming of these, so I kind of learned the hard way. But here's a closed one, same thing. 2 by 1 meter by dot 6. All right, there we go. And I'll make my, so I'm just going to leave my grid options window open. I'm just going to make it a bit smaller and a little more out of the way over here. So I'll have to fiddle with it quite so much. And see, I've done some other wall pieces over here for the exterior. So I haven't grouped those all together. Close the colonnade off. Close up the other columns over here. See, it's getting more and more. So there we go. Interior groups. So I have quite a few objects. You could build your whole model kit in a single object. And I also went in and got that student version message to turn off, so it's not reminding me every time, which was incredibly annoying. So yeah, you can also have it with one here that is an open one as part of it. So if I go here, this one here, and you just want it to kind of give a framing, a lip around it, you can just scale that out. That. And grab these faces and bring it so it snaps. Whoops, just want this side. Here we go. So that's right there. Grab all the faces. There we go, and center that up. So there is some Z fighting right there at the top. So you just gotta be very, very aware of that. And maybe for that we can turn the grid snap off for just a moment. There we go. So you can have it pass through. Just know you could have a light leak. That's where the light hits the surface of a face. It goes through a pipe shoved one. It leaks out the backside. So you see like little white halos. That's an old school error that's been around for many years. So it depends. Not 100% sure if you'll experience that or not. So just something to be aware of. I could also just scale the whole thing down a little bit. So if I wanted to make this in the middle here, there we go, like that. And just in general, just scale the whole thing down a bit. That way there's not any Z fighting happening anymore. And then bring that in. There we go, like that. That would work as well. If you're worried about the light leaking when you pipe shove one, especially for a wall piece, it could be exterior and interior. You have drastically different lighting and shadow conditions. If that's something that you are concerned about, then we can go in here to the middle of this one. You go to the modeling toolkit and connect. Just do 2 in there. Enter, and then grab the face from the center. It's all the way around, delete it, and then go back to the edge, grab each of the edges, move, and leave the grid snap tool on. And oh, I think I did not grab the top. So do that again. Grab those faces. We'll isolate selection for a moment. No. I did grab it. Okay. Go back to edge here, and we just snap that right there. Go out of the isolation mode here. Go to the other side. double click that one, isolate, grab the edge, double click here, and then snap that one back on the grid as well. And then out of isolation mode, you'll see these, this now would have to come in on the inside, but we could bridge those back together. Maybe I should have left those together. Okay, so maybe that was a bad idea. I know, not a bad idea. Let's see if we bridge these back together. Yeah, okay. So maybe leave those together in the middle and get rid of the pieces that flow through the pipe shove from one surface to the next. So these ones here, they bridge those. Sometimes it doesn't like going around corners. So bridge. You can leave the bridge tool open. I think it's usually when it comes around this turn right here, if I have more than one going. There we go, and then bridge that one. There we go. So that could work as well. And you'll see if I test this out, if I go in here and move, that is indeed not connected in there. But if you wanted to angle snap those together, you could do that too. So these are two separate objects. So I could very easily merge these together and then snap the two. So that's how you combine two separate pieces to create a lip. Let's do the dome next. So go in here to our colonnade. Move that over here out of the way. And grab our series of arches that we have. These guys right here, Control G, and do my big groups and arches underscore GRP underscore 01. And move those over out of the way. Looks like did not grab this one as well. Should also be in the arches group. There we go. So now if I go, I drag it in there, middle mouse, arrow up, it grabs the whole group and bring it over. Great. Get this wall here out of the way. And so for the dome, I did have some domes on. Let's see if I got them in their own. Yeah, domes. There's over here, dome and tower, and some pieces here, and doing curves and continuing doing spanners. So we'll look at what each of those terms means. So start up here, and let's just do a sphere. I think there's a way to do half semi-sphere. For the life of me, I don't remember. I should just look it up, huh? I'm forgetting at the moment. So yeah, this one here. Yeah, it's gonna. Since I guess I restarted, but it should have remembered what I did last time. I guess it didn't. So create polygon primitive and sphere. So we'll get the sphere settings. Make sure that we're at 16. For the that's for the axis to go around, and then for the height, I think I reduced it way down to like 12 is fine. And then I'll go in here and click, make sure my pivot or my grid snap is set to on. We want to drop this down, make it easier as well. Hit apply. That way we get to that center point without too much trouble. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a pretty good sized dome right there. So that would be 8 meters across. We'll just verify that with the big lines here. It was every 100 meters is this this little like tan coral orangish color. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the middle pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is indeed 8 meters across. So good sized dome, 32 feet. And now, yeah, there's a way to do the halfway. I'll have to look it up, but in any case, you just grab the lines that you don't need, double click, backspace, backspace, backspace. The bottom, go to the vertex, grab it, and go to the top handle, up arrow, bring that up, double check it from the side view. It's nice and flush. There's your dome. Pretty straightforward. So that's a 8-meter dome. So if I go in here and rename it dome underscore 8 by, I believe it was, turn off my caps, 8 by 4. Yep, so it should be my same large outdoor 1-story height. So dome, keep our naming conventions really clean. Dome 8 by 4. There we go. If you want to give it a thickness, we'll do that too. So we'll do that with the internal extrusion. So we'll go by dot 2. So we'll go to 20. So there's a bunch of other ways to do this. Might not be the best way. Again, I'm kind of getting refreshed and building all these new model kits from scratch again, since the ones I had built, I reused them so many times over the years. I'll go ahead and delete those internal faces at the bottom. Let's see, not internal. So now it's just a paper thin shell. So if you want that 20 meter thickness or 20 centimeter thickness, 0.2 meters thickness, just grab the whole thing, go to the modeling toolkit and extrude them going in. Let's see, what's the other way to, yeah, so we'll do this as a -20. And there you go. So you now have, you see on the grid there, it's snapped across 5 divided by 100. 100 divided by 5, excuse me, is 20. So it is 20 per grid snap point. That's right where we want it to be. Hit enter. Now what's happened is the faces, if you see it black like that, that means the normals are flipped. That means the faces are actually faced to the inside of the model, and then it's black like that. And Maya doesn't always give you a good readout for that, but those are flipped normals. So everyone should know what flipped normals. That's also the name of a periodical and website. And so if you go to mesh display, you need to reverse your normals, and that flips them back around for you. So that's no problem. You can then set to face, so each face has its own normal, which just makes it very angular in terms of how the lighting hits the surface. So hit Alt-5 on the keyboard, you can see each facet, each face has its own facet. So if we want to fix that, we just grab all the faces and we'll just go to mesh display and average them all out, and that'll kind of create an average for you. And these two edges right here along the sides, I guess the grid is very similar in color to my edge selection tool, isn't it? Maybe I should change that color. Again, I keep waffling back and forth with what my colors are, I swear. There you go, yellow. That's so obnoxious though. Ooh, green? Oh, there we go. That's a little more mellow. Okay, hope it's not too hard to see. It's a little too soft. So anytime it goes beyond a 90-degree bend like this, you're going to get these harsh kind of artifacts, black shadow, creases over the side. And so I have a hard time with this hardened edge tool actually working properly. And you can also do the crease tool and middle mouse drag all the way. And we'll see if that doesn't really get rid of the artifact, but we'll come back to that. So there's your dome. That's got 20.20.2. So 4 meter, whoops, 8 meters across by 4 meters. And I do how far across diameter. I don't do radius when I'm naming things. It's like do everything in its full measurement across whichever dimension it is. So that's your dome for that direction. So if I want to make a quarter, a half of this, so let's see the other ones I had made on here. So on the domes and pieces, so we had a half dome piece there, there's a quarter dome, there's a spanner piece that connects the domes, there's also a way of taking the angle of the dome and doing a turn using the symmetry tool. So let's look at each of those, and we'll do the tower piece, which is a hollow cylinder tube, and then we'll look at punching holes through. They go all the way around the piece, which is really fun as well. Okay, let's turn our wireframe on solid back on. Let's hide the domes and towers for now. So we'll take this piece, make sure that we freeze and delete history, so all that's done. And then we'll shift drag that over so the copy's there. And .2 should have been an _01. And this one should be, instead, it's going to automatically add a numerical. Like if you do a .2 and the number's the last value, when you make a replica, it's going to automatically go 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of like you do replicating cells in Excel. So I have to be sure in the .2 and _02. I do always do my underscores for good naming conventions, and I highly suggest sticking to that. It's pretty tried and true. And then F, just make sure we're centered up on all of our axes around here. Looks like we are on the main axis there. There is the red. Oh, the red is like flickering in and out. It's like ochre colored for a moment there. Like the colors merging together. That's funky. Green and red, right? It's making a little cuckoo brown. If it happens to be a solid black or something like that. Yeah. No. lighter blue. Just keep messing around, try them all, see what works for you. What the hey. All right, so now what we can do is go to the front top viewport here. There we go. And we'll do a half and a quarter. So we'll delete all those, and then grab all of these ones right here, and you can detach and see if that works. And it did work, so those are now detached. It's under edit mesh and detach. And they should still share the same pivot point. So if I go faces here and I want that actually separated, you detach it first so that the vertices are no longer welded up there, and then you separate it. So there you have that piece there. So now that's the dome, and I'll do dome, same name underscore half, and name that one. And then this piece here, you see when you break them though, they like to put them into groups. So this is really annoying to me still, as I never really got the memo as to why this is useful. So this one here we could drag out as well, and that way we could just kill this group that's left behind. But then it does that, so let's not do that yet. So we'll go this one, rename that, and instead of half we'll call this quarter. There we go, and here's the dot. That one shouldn't be 2. Let's see, hold on. What did I do here? Dome. Half. That one should just be the only one there, so that's 1. And there's a quarter, and that should be underscore 01 as well. Okay, so this one here, I want it to be on the same axis as everything else. So as I turn, I'm going to hit the J key and then do the rotation, right? So it snaps nice for me, and grab both of these guys. And if you freeze, this should disappear when you freeze it and delete the history. The node that was used to be part of, it auto groups them, puts them in a parent-child group, and then now that's gone. So now if I click on this one, here's my half, and here's my quarter. I could take a look at those now. The only problem left there is you have the openings, right? The gaps right here between the two sides, and so you could just fill hole and then cut it, but I find maybe multi-cut at that scale is a little problematic, so I just leave the bridge tool open like that, and then just hit the G key. Let's see if I can get multiples here, and G. And then if I get to this intersection with the pi wedge, you don't have to worry about the pi wedges so much anymore like we did with the organic modeling with the biped. And let's see if I can get like 4 pairs at a time to sync up, and then hit G. There it goes. And then when I get to the end here, last one, hit G. So it's all closed up, and just to test it, I'll hit 3 on the keyboard, round it off. That'll usually give us a bad turn there. If there's an opening or unwelded vertice going on there. So grab this piece here and do the same thing. So we'll go edge mode, grab a few pairs at a time, and hit bridge. Here we go. Grab these 2, and bridge again. Grab these 2, and let's see if I grab all of them. It just never, the rhyme or reason for this sometimes, I'm like, The G, yeah, okay, it worked when I did them all in one shot, so that's pretty good. So there you go. So there's a half dome and a quarter turn, and then we want a spanner piece that goes across in between. And done a bunch of work with this. So if we go back to object mode, we can see in the channel layers, you got some bridge going here and some bridge going there. So we'll just do our due diligence here and grab them both and freeze delete. And display will soften those edges up. There we go. So just softening them instead of averaging them, well, tends to bend around. Now there's still dark artifacts on the corner. All right. It's no problem. We just got to get our model kit built, right? You have a city to build. You have a whole level to build. You're prototyping. You need just placeholder, geometrically, volumetrically the correct, accurate size for what it is you're working on. You know, it needs to be done ASAP. You're hustling. That's what this model kit is for. It's to help you hustle and get this stuff done. So for this one here, I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a shift drag, clone this guy. So now we have dome. I'll call this a dome spanner. SPAN, span. The spanner is a piece that can infinitely span in between to connect something. So spanners, we use them in web design to fill in style sheets and tables. So you could like resize a table and there's like a little graphic spanner that goes inside of there and spans it all around. So for this one, let's actually hold down J and we'll rotate the 90 degrees that way. We're going to pull it off from this side. So we'll keep everything going to our screen right or the left-hand side of the object that's facing us, right? So here's our face, right? So go to the modeling toolkit, go to viewport mode so we can see very clearly where we're moving here. And yeah, I changed the color so much that I really don't like it, but I want to go at least to 4 to start with, right? So we'll grab the extrude key and then switch over to move, and we'll just pull that out and extrude 1, 2, 3, 4 meters. These green lines now crossed. Looking good. And so we don't have to cap that again. I'm just going to connect one time in there, enter, and oh, wait a minute. I guess that wouldn't work, huh? Hold on. Yeah, looks like could work. So let me just do it a similar way as we did with the other pieces. Delete that. Grab all these faces here, and we're just going to snap them back over. And we're going to extrude again and pull those out. So we just have like little floating faces here, and that we're going to pull out again to 4 meters. So yeah, that worked okay. That way I don't have to seal off the back end. So there's a spanner piece, so that should work really nicely. So just go over here, freeze delete. It's all clean. Span. It is not 8x4, however, though. This one is only 4 meters wide by 4 meters tall. Same thing with this quarter piece here. So make sure you're double checking your naming conventions. There we go. And this should really flesh out your asset list. You should figure out, you got a quarter turn, half dome. So if we look at, there's a bunch of fun things we can do with these guys. Let's make one that is a full half. So that's a half spanner, right? Dome. And we'll call this a half spanner. But if we want one that goes all the way across, we want to connect this side. So if we have this one here, and if we were building, if we were making, whoa, how did I just do that? I don't even know. If we were making a building and bringing this out over here, and then if I shift drag this over and then turn this way 90 degrees, and I want to span in between here, I could use this half here and then do one on each side. But what if I wanted a full one that's going to go all the way across, which I've done that before as well. So let's just move these over here out of the way for now, and then we'll just take this piece here and we'll shift drag it over. So another clone. There we go. And make sure that's snapped to the side. And hold down J to snap or rotate, bring it around. And let's bring it out the full arch here, and let's go ahead and give it 8 as well. So you decide what you might want to use this for, but you just need a basic dome. You don't have to do a spanner yet. But at some point, if you have one done, you could just grab the faces, snap to the grid, and make a quarter, or make it just 2 meters, or make it 12 meters, or 20 meters, like whatever you need for your project. You can decide what you want to do for that. So if we invert the selection, delete, grab all those faces, that's Control-Shift-I, so you should always know yours in select all and invert selection. So it's Control-Shift-I. Control Shift A to select all, Control Shift I to invert selection. We do those a lot in Photoshop too. So just grab that, extrude, switch to the move tool and count it out. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could do call this the other one was a half span. We'll do spanner. And that one was a 4x8. And just watch the numbers getting added on the end there each time you duplicate them, right? I just want to go back over if they are indeed duplicates like this one. That was actually yes, that was like 1. There's 1. The object mode here is 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3. So those are all the same pieces. That's why the 01, 02, 03 works well in this case. So here's your spanner. So this is 4 meter by 4 meters, so 4 meters tall, 4 meters across. And I didn't do the 8 going this way. But let's take this now. Before I do that, delete freeze, shift drag it. Oops, shift drag it over. Move the one out of the way. Bring it back over to the grid, and we'll just grab the vertices here, and we'll just snap them out 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meters. So it is a good one. So that would be 8 meters across by 4 meters high. Dot 2. So they're all 20 centimeters thick still. There we go. And now I have this pretty fun little set of models that I can make a dome. Fairly intricate dome roof out of. And there's some crisscrossing and intersections we can still play around with. So, you know, the way that this dome, go to the top view for a moment here. Whoops. And I just crashed. Oh, yay. Good old Maya. And we're back from our Maya crash. That was exciting. Not. Okay, so yeah, if you have this on some kind of dome surface, you know, like compound domes, let's just play with this for a minute, right? So I can take this piece over here. Since it crashed, all my settings are gone. So just kind of be prepared for that. So if I have this piece, and then if I make sure that's the first one. So let's grab all these and do some housekeeping. Just grab all of them and Control G. We'll group them together. And this would be our domes. Dome underscore GRP. And this is a demo, so make sure. Because I already have one named. Yeah, you can't name things the same, so it should be careful. Might cause some trouble. So shift click to open up the whole piece over there. Okay, so if I grab this dome and I shift drag it over, and then I grab this piece here and shift drag it over. And all these are in nice big meter increments, right? So let's go in here to our grid options for a moment. And right now it's at subdivision 5. Let's make it even smaller. Let's go like subdivisions like 200 with 4 subdivisions, something like that. So it's gonna be great big pieces that make it easier. This is when you're doing city level stuff, right? When you're like blocking in your whole city. So if I have an archway connected here, so you can have that one and then have this dome over here, and then bring it over. And this is a lot of fun in Unreal Engine. We'll get over there in a minute, or in a couple videos here. So we could grab these two together, and I can group those. So Control G, and the pivot likes us to go flying off in La La Land. So hold down D and just drag that pivot over here, and then maybe drag that back over to the center of the world, and freeze that pivot so that it doesn't have any transforms on it. So that could be a piece by itself, right? Like that. And then if I switch over to my rotate tool and I shift drag it, it's going to drag the whole thing out, and then let go and then press J and then continue to rotate around. Looks like slapped it down there on accident. Is it off a little bit? It did go off. Okay, I must have grabbed the wrong controller on there. So click once, arrow up, go to rotate, hold down shift, the clone button turns on, shift drag, and then let go of shift to let go of the mouse button, hold down J so it snaps, and then continue to snap. There we go, around, and then that will come out over this side of the dome. Right there. Okay, then grab them both, arrow up, whoops. And then Control G. And bring the pivot back, just spread it out of the way for a second. Arrow up, and then hold down D, bring the pivot of that group back over here. There we go. Now if I go to rotate these, and I have the groups selected, right? If I shift drag, see just the top group. And if I shift drag in the middle, you see, and then if I let go, hold down J, and then continue to snap. There we go. We have all four of them snapped together. Pretty cool. And then bring this over back to the middle. There we go. Pull that up to the top. And you'll see here I have a pretty interesting structure that is coming together that I can very easily grab some wall and other pieces for. So let's grab four. Let's see, where's that 8x4? Yeah, grab this wall over here. Let's grab the irregular interior wall. And grab that one. Shift drag it over. There we go. And you'll see that now I can start assembling these pieces. It looks like I might need to have it out one more for that particular wall piece to work right. Yeah, I do. So it's okay. We'll grab these two. Arrow up one time, bring it out. Arrow up, drag it out. Oops. Yeah, arrow up, drag it out. Now, the other thing when you're doing modular kits like this is you can scale them very easily, and minimal stretching usually will occur. So not to worry about that. So that should pass through pretty nicely right there. And then what we'll do is shift drag that clone over here, bring it over like that. Remember, always the inside corner facing in. Shift drag. This one, shift drag. There we go. Grab these two and shift drag over to the corner. Rotate them out. There we go. Bring them back over. And voila. That one's off a little bit. Yeah, that one's off. Just a hair. That one's off. Just a hair. You see how nice these snaps work? Now these open corners, you need like little pillar corners, and we'll look at those next, right? But you know, if I'm looking at did a project once where we did the Hagia Sophia, which is the Cathedral of Constantinople, one of the coolest structures in the world, one of the wonders of the world, I believe, at one point, or maybe it still is. But you know, it's gone back and forth through Turkish rule, from Christian rule to Muslim rule, back and forth over the centuries, and it combines so many different architectural forms. Like it's been kind of built over so many times over the years that it was really cool to see how the Muslim architecture or Islamic architecture was combined with some of the different Christian architectures over the centuries. It's just a really awesome learning experience. So I can bring these in. It should be. This one's all snapping outward. It should be snapping outward. There it goes. Okay, so I have a little open corner. Why is one corner not open? Oh, okay, because I brought these ones in. So grab both of these and bring them out one more. Whoops. Yeah, they're backwards, which you can do, right? So if I need to have that pivot, it works like magic. You'll just get used to, what you can or cannot do with that type of a pivot, right? So this brings us to the roofing portion. So we've now done, sorry, we still got to do a tower. So we've got the dome. We'll do some outdoor doors. We'll get to the roof and to the stairs, and then that'll pretty much bring us home. So for the tower, we'll just take this dome as our example. And let me go ahead and isolate everything since it's so much stuff in space now. And bring that back over to our center of our world. Make sure it's all centered up nicely. Centered up nicely. Come on. There we go. Yeah. All right. 0, 0, 0. Yep. All right. And then we'll let's see. A little smaller. Yeah, I think I like this color palette. Okay. It's working all right. So again, you want a single floor. You want it to be 8 meters or 4 meters for this. So it really depends. You look at the White House, look at different domes, and see how many floors or how many compounded arcades or colonnades or whatever are inside of that piece. So for this one, I'm just going to bring it up here and we'll stick to the 8 that we kind of been doing with these larger pieces and go to the face mode, click on that. Actually, let's duplicate the whole object, and then take one of them. That's the third. Yeah, I'll take that one, leave that one there. And this one here, we'll take the faces and go all the way around. Oops. Double click, so it does the row all the way. Remember, that's grab a face, Control plus Shift to the one adjacent and double click, and that'll do the ring or edge loops of the faces all the way around. Modeling toolkit, extrude, and then switch over to the move tool and pop them down till it hits the ground. And if you're in the 4 viewport mode, that always helps tremendously. So yeah, that worked pretty good. Also, let's see, we make sure I didn't. Now, when you undo an extrude, you got to double check that you didn't, it's not still there. That happens all the time. So I grab those, Control Shift I, invert the selection, delete. Grab all these faces here and drag them to the ground. There we go, and extrude. And this time I'm going to hit W and we're going to pull that up. So we could do one floor there. And then if I keep going, that'll go up to the 800 centimeter, 8 meter mark instead of the 4 meter mark, right? So 12 feet roughly instead of 24. So it's a pretty good size piece to do that for. Let's go ahead and bring it down for this particular one. So I'll show you what I'm thinking on here. Grab object mode and grab the pivot, hold down D and bring it back down to 0 and freeze and delete. Grab all the faces here and we can go to mesh display and just soften those edges up. Ooh, get a little ugly. And grab all those faces again and we'll average them all out. No, okay. Set it to each face individually. These might be inverted still. Yeah, I think they are. So grab all the faces and we'll reverse them. There we go. That's better. Okay. Grab the faces here and then grab the edges up here. Mesh display, soften edge. There we go. At least to do that much, you don't want hardcore artifacts in your model kit as you're white boxing your world or blocking in your level or your scene that you're building. Okay, so this is your tower piece. So usually with the spanner piece, you want to have a first floor. So we'll do this one. And again, it's kind of tied in there. Hopefully if I take it out, it doesn't, yeah, so this one here, go out of our Isolation mode, how's it doing? Spanner's over there, right? Okay. Back in the middle of the world. So we're really just dealing with these two pieces right here. So let me group those together. Control G, and we'll call this tower. Capitalize it, tower underscore GRP underscore 01. Okay, so this first piece here, we'll call this tower. And that is a 4x4, so 4 meters. Actually, I'm sorry, 4 by so 4 by 1 by dot 2, and then underscore 01. So let's just double check. Yeah, so that's 4 subdivisions. Oh, I did my subdivisions differently up here. That's right. Gotta be careful. Remember what I did. I'm doing that. There we go. Oh, 1,000. Okay, so it is too high, and it is 8 across, so my bad. So we'll do, yeah, easy to mess this stuff up whilst bouncing around with all these grid changes for bouncing the grid back and forth all the time. So the dome is 4 meters high, 8 by 4, 8 across, 4 high. But the spanner is 8 across, only 2 high. So you'll see the dome itself is twice the height of that spanner piece. So what we want to do with a multi-story model kit pieces is you want to have a first floor spanner that can go infinitely, be the second, third, fourth, fifth floor, and then we want a top floor. So if it was only 2 high, you would just use the ground level, the bottom spanner, and the top spanner, or modular piece. You wouldn't have a spanner in the middle at all. But let's let's play this through a little bit. So we go tower, and we'll call this BOT, bottom floor, BOT underscore. There we go. And then bring this up for a moment. Make sure that it's sticking to the grid okay. Let me go ahead and drop that from 10 to 5 to make it a little bit easier. Now if I shift drag this down and let go, we'll see it's still at 0 there. So this one here now, remember it adds the 2 at the end, so we're going to rename this one tower span. So it's a spanner, right? So this is the one that's going to go in between the bottom. So I can make 8 or whatever tower we want to do for that one. And maybe one for the top. Okay, so again, I'll shift drag it down and call this one DOP 01. And all of these should be zeroed out, so I'll bring it on the bottom. They're looking good. They should all be sharing the same space here. So if we want to, we could go ahead and freeze and delete there for just a moment. And now you can decide what differences you want for each of these. Oops, did I have all 3 of them? Thought I had all 3 of them. Freeze, delete, yeah, okay. The dome. Oh, there's the dome up there. Okay, cool. And so the bottom one, right, and then you have the spanner piece. This is here. And go back to 4 viewport. And again, this is 4 viewport, super useful for architecture, folks. I can't emphasize that. This is, if you ever take an architecture class, top, side, bottom, like the discipline, take one architecture class. Just if you want to be a level designer, world builder, learning the basics of architecture is a great, some draftsmanship, some layouts is super useful. So there we go. So that now works, and I take the dome top here and I bring it down, and the details are up to you. We can have a trim piece come around the side here, of course. We can pop windows in here, columns. You can have trim pieces that go around, but that's gonna fit really nice into our virtual world. And the group there is still there, so I can grab this whole unit, I can bring it over. And if this was floating up on a roof, I would not have the bottom floor spanner, because that's usually where doors and things like that are. But since this is going to be floating up on the roof, I might not have the bottom spanner at all for that particular type of configuration. But there, I'm just going to leave it in there for now, though. So there you go. So we would just need to continue some of these other pieces. This is where it crashed. I had the other ones on there. Control S, crash. If you go Windows Settings, Preferences, go to your Preferences and go to Files, Projects. I had turned off, there was an alert prompt before save. I didn't realize that's what was causing it this whole time. It was my mistake. So I can go number of autosave. I cranked it up to like 25 and then minimum intervals, crank it to like 10. So like every 10 minutes, that's 6 per hour, up to 24. That's 4 hours worth of saves that just in case I only lose 10 minutes of work. Yeah, there's the group 2, there's the other group, there's this group here, and now if this is what crashed it before, and I just hit and Control S, you can manually do it, of course, and then shift drag it around, and then let go, and then hold down J, and then continue the turn, and there we go. And of course, you would need a wall piece that has the arcade punched in if you want to punch, if they want this to be functional. But for now, it's pretty good. I don't have a facade or a bottom part for these yet, but this should load nicely into the game engine or into a new scene. This gives us a lot of functionality. And let's do some roofs for this stuff. So the roofing is going to really depend on what you want to make, like with everything else. So let's see, we had a colonnade layer, we had the columns layer, we have now all these domes. We got domes everywhere. There's all these arcades here, arches. I don't have the arches on their own layer yet, so let's do a bit of housekeeping again. This is all real time. I could speed this up and do a voiceover, but I figure showing you what's possible is, very helpful. So just go over here and we'll do layer, call these arches. Go and hit save and hide all those. Oops, missed one, of course. Add the selected object. Okay, so have these all these walls here. So I have all these, but I don't really want these wall pieces here. I just want these pieces here, all these domes, lots and lots of domes. And we'll do another layer, and we'll call these, double click, those are domes. Domes, towers, hit save. There we go. You could see the city builder, the backdrops, the digital map paintings where they lay out some 3D, gets a basic lighting setup in there, and then paint over, like you see the cities for Game of Thrones. The backdrops, the skyboxes, and the big open worlds. If you look at some of the levels in Dark Souls, when you're running around and you see a really cool detailed city in the background, a lot of times it's a rendering. It's not the full models. It's just a rendering of those pieces. So you kind of can keep that in mind when you're doing this. So, okay, so here's our walls pieces. So I do have these over here still. So I'm going to group these together and call this walls roofs. There we go. And my name. Just hit a key too fast. Try that again. Walls underscore roofs underscore group grp01. And if any time this starts getting out of hand, just make another group, drop them in, and keep doing parent-child with your model kit to whatever makes sense. Okay, so I grabbed the group here, and of course the pivot is off in La La Land, so we got to hold down D, grab the arrowhead, and bring it over, and of course our snap's turned off. So, there we go, right about there. And then bring it back. There it is. Okay, and we'll freeze it. Delete the history. Okay, let's make a little roof kit for this. So turn caps lock off. Okay, so the roofs are going to vary tremendously. It really depends on what type of roof you want. So let's take a look at those different types of roofs. So the plates I scanned from the architecture book that had all the elevations for the roofs, there's just a crazy variety of roofs, lean-to, ridged, pitched. I mean, it's pretty wild. So I'm just gonna go with like a typical one you might see here, which would be a ridge with a end hipped roof. Lean-to and ridged are kind of common ones. I know way too much about roofing. I've been doing my own roofing recently, not by choice, but you can see that you have, some of them have a curve, they'll have a diagonal, there's a swoop. The Japanese castles are amazing, or the old Buddhist temples, the Hindu, the Jainist, there's just so much to go into and study here. But let's just pick a regular kind of diagonal one that can work for us. So that's, I had this other one here that I had done. This is when I was studying the temples in India and the Buddhist temples in Borobudur, Indonesia. This is the breakaway of the actual tower piece in its original model kits as I was building each of these pieces individually, talking about spanners that would go, up through into the design. Here's another one. You see how simple I kept them at first, so just kind of block in like what I think it works. So this model, just took a few minutes to make before I go in and do like the next level one with like a nice arch support, and then gotta take it down even farther, each of these squares, and then inset them and put in the panels for, I was gonna do glass. And this is kind of looking like more of almost like an industrial type of building, which was kind of what I was going for with the original Telharmonium. So then like almost like a music box look to it. So, and you see it's bent funny, like scaled funny, like just go fast with it. They don't need to be perfect right now. They just need to fit in your grid, right? The basic spacing needs to be there. And if you can have enough discipline for that, you'll have a easy time with it. And it does take a minute to get the snaps correctly, but I think you guys will be all right. So here's 8 meters across, and I think we've been going 4 meters high. There may be a bit of a tall pitch roof. Let's go with the lower pitch roof. Let's just make it 2 meters tall. So for this one, I'm going to start off with just a plane, I think would be good. Should I do a plane? Yeah, let's just do a plane. We haven't really done a plane yet with this class. So I'll just go across here and I'll click and drag across the grid. So it's 2 meters high and 8 meters across. That was from the front view. You can see how that looks right here. And then I'll bring this over here, by the wall, like that. So you can kind of get an idea. Now the overhang or the eaves of a roof and the corbels and the pieces that support underneath it is all, again, another area of study. So let's just put this even on the grid. So I'm going to have it right at 4 meters out, which is a 12-foot overhang for this size of roof. That's not, it's a little big, but it's not terribly big. I guess we could leave it at 2 here and have it go back to, let's see. And then I'm going to take this top edge over here. I'm going to take this edge right here. I'm going to back it up 4 meters or 1 meter back, which was 4 grids. So I'm going to just make sure I get this right, as I'm going a little fast here. I'm kind of worried. So from the side view, or from the front view, it is 2 meters tall. So a good, 6 feet ish. Yeah, we don't need that many. I'll drop that back down to 5. So 2 meters, but from the top view here, I just did it back 1. So if I want it to be that full 2 meters to just keep it within the grid, we can. So I'll take that one there and we'll go back to this one here. So the how far across it goes is the same as the height. So it's 2 meters across from the depth. It's 2 meters in height and it's 8 meters wide. And that's all of that works pretty well. So depending on how you want the ends to snap together, I would recommend this part here to either way works. But what I would do is I would go straight up with it so that the ends have a even 90-degree to the perpendicular to the ground cut across. If you get into weird diagonals with the roof pieces, you get it gets really funky. So I'm going to take the plane here and I'm going to extrude it up once and then switch over to my move tool immediately. And then I'm just going to go up 1 unit like that. So you'll see the thickness of it isn't 1, but its meeting points is 1. And its meeting point at the end is 1. And that's, I think, a little more helpful and useful. It may not be perfectly realistic for what you would see in the real world. You might see them cut this way, but actually you do see them cut ends. See, they hang the gutters and things like that off of there. So that'll work pretty well there. And so if we need a smaller piece of that, so this one right here would be our roof. Underscore 8 by 2 by dot. And let's see, did I just do 1.2, I believe? 20 centimeters underscore 0.1. There we go. All right. So where to put the pivot is another important aspect of this. I think the roofing, the pivot is like where it's going to rest down on the bottom. So if we grab the pivot here and bring it over here and align it to the front, it's going to kind of be married up with a wall unit. Now that's going across the wall unit. So perhaps you might want it to be perfectly even with the wall unit so that it kind of goes around. The roofs are really tricky, so I'm going to kind of show you a few different ways to do this, and you can decide, you know, what works for you. But we need a L turn. We need to turn in so that the roof can go around a corner right here. And then if you're doing a full module kit with this and you want to go around, like make a U and back and forth and have a variety of shapes, you do a L turn back in again the other way too. And we'd probably have a smaller unit that isn't quite so wide as well. So let's do that. Let me go ahead and bring this up out of the way for a moment. Let's see, did that, yeah. See, when I scaled it up right here, the top of that's above the top of the grid. So you got to figure out if that's what you want or not. So the bottom touches there. The top, now that I extruded, is up there. So if I grab this face right here, and let's bring that back to 10. I think, okay, 20. There we go. I think we may want, if I go D and V temporarily, bring that up here. I think we might want the top of it to be flush with the top, stay within the bigger of the units. So that's kind of a tricky spot to do right there, but worth noting that to keep this piece within the grid, the edges, so you don't want it to protrude. You're going to have trim pieces, and there's going to be gutters, and at the peak of the roof you're going to have corbels and acroteria. Those are on your main list in your ornamentation: acroteria and corbels and cornices, finials. On the side of the walls you'll have pilasters. We're staying within a list of, you know, just 20 or 30 pieces, but it gets, you know, and then you have the vents and the pipes and brackets and light fixtures, and there's so much more that goes into this, but let's just continue with this one for right now. So that's our 8-piece and 8-piece nuggets with the side. I'll shift drag it down to the ground and just make sure that it's touching the ground. Looks like I missed one dot right there in the channel box. Yep. And then freeze, delete. Looks like the other wall piece is also missing on there. So let's take this piece here. Let me go ahead and isolate it for just a moment, and let's make it only 4 wide. So it's a little bit big. So let's make it 4 meters wide. There we go. Let's rename this one. So let's call this one a 4. 1 by 2. There we go. So that's a little bit more of a manageable size that might be have a little bit more utility. Although the big ones, you know, certainly take up a lot of space. You want those done. Now it's not touching the bottom. I'm going to leave those separate. Those are what's called the soffit. This goes underneath here. Now you can make it all one unit, so we could do that. But I'm going to choose to leave it separate for just for right now, just to make life a little bit easier. And let's make sure that this one as well is zeroed out good on the ground, so it goes there. And a lot of times, yeah, it's you do want an extra piece hanging there, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit. So that should be on the ground. So we have it on the transform. So we don't want that. We want, oh, that's why, because it should be back here. So I just did that one wrong. I think I'm getting tired. This is getting a little long video too, so maybe I should stop. There we go. So freeze, delete, bring it back, go over here, and drag it back down to the ground. Go, yeah, so plus 800, so freeze, delete, there we go. So these pieces here now have a function as a roof piece that aligns nicely, and that if we bring it up, let's do the corner piece. So let's see how that might work out. So I'm going to grab this piece here and bring it out, and we'll shift drag back over here again. And if I want to go around the corner, we know it's going to go out only, oops, make sure it's right on 0. We know it's only going to go overhang a meter, right? So about 3 feet over, which is a pretty, it's a good average overhang. Let's see if that's up a little bit too. Bring it back up. Okay, so now we're going to use the mirror tool. So for this one here, I haven't done, oh, that's really funny. Underscore. And this one. So I'm going to rename this in just a moment. But okay, so this one's going to be have a symmetry tool, the mirror tool in Maya. So for this one, if I have it centered out here, I've frozen it and gotten rid of its history. Go mesh and mirror, bring up the mirror tool. The mirror tool is pretty awesome now. So if I go ahead and hit apply, I have the mirror tool available here, and you say I had it on Z here. You can actually change the axis here. So you can have it go on X, you can have it go on Z, and you can have it go on Y. And so it's pretty awesome tool now. You can also rotate it. So what I had been doing is I had been rotating the tool, and so the mirror plane cut is here, the smooth angles here, so and here's the mirror threshold. So this is a new tool for you. The axis direction is right here. You do a plus and a minus on it as well. Let's see if I can get this to work right. Yeah, there goes the minus, so you got to be careful. It does get little, oh, I just broke it. Yeah, it doesn't work nearly as nicely as 3D Studio Max's mirror and symmetry stack tools are just so superior to Maya's. But say la vie. So if I go to the mirror plane cut, let's see if I go 90, so you can move it here. And let's see if I can undo this a few times. And why don't I get a refresher here, and we'll come back to the finishing off your roof model kit set for.